Well, this week's edition of the 100 Millionaire Mindset. I actually just got disconnected from Facebook, so I was halfway through a Facebook Live and we're starting again. This week, it's an awesome tip. It's the money tip that definitely buys happiness, plus avoiding this common financial mistake that's keeping you from being wealthy. You know, I was watching a Family Feud with my family the other day. We do like to watch Family Feud occasionally. And the question was, how do you get rid of your stress? How do you simplify your life? This was for men. And the answers were things like, get rid of your wife, get rid of your kids, quit your job, get rid of the car. Well, you know, the car thing might be an issue, but I will say don't get rid of your wife and kids or quit your job necessarily to make your life simpler. But the reality is most people have created enormous personal expenses. They haven't budgeted for their expenditures, and they have overhead in their business or their personal life that is creating a ton of pressure. When you look at depression, sleeplessness, anxiety, just the problems people have today, and just slowing down and enjoying their life, spending time with their family, doing hobbies, so much of this is created by not what we call just sort of the stress of today or the speed of the current world or the modern world, but it's from overhead. When I teach my children about happiness, when I talk to my clients, the people I consult for, I say you want happiness, keep the overhead low. You can't enjoy your life and slow down when you know you've got to speed up just to pay the bills. There's the old joke about the seven dwarves, I owe, so it's off to work I go. You don't want that to be you or your life. So here's a few things you can do when you lower your overhead. You can wake up later, you can meditate, you can do deep breathing exercises, spend time with your family, you can have a hobby, all because the overhead has gone down. So a couple quick tips on overhead. Certainly, first of all, for your profession. Whatever profession you're in, whatever sort of business you may own or run, there are standards in each industry for what percentage of your gross profits should go to certain parts of your expenditure. So for example, 3 core expenditures for many businesses are staff, rent, and marketing. Those are 3 big ones. So there's a percent of your gross collections that should only go towards those 3 core expenditures. If there's more money going into rent, going into staff, going into marketing than is prescribed, you have too much overhead, and you know that you can adapt those numbers. For example, I used to own gyms, and I would go to trainings. So we owned a Gold's Gym, and I'd go to these Gold's Gyms trainings, and they said that 8% of your gross collection should go towards marketing. If the number was too high in most months, actually 10 months of the year, if it was over 8%, you were spending too much. If you're spending less than that, we'll touch on that in a second, you're spending too little. They also told us that in January and February, we should spend twice as much on our marketing because those are the health Super Bowl months where lots of people pour in to gyms. So you should know what your industry standard is for rent, marketing, staff, or other key things in your industry, and don't spend more. That's how you control professional. Personal, it's just that people aren't budgeting. You know, whether it's the car, whether it's the home, whether it's vacation or purchases, those should be budgeted. We should have a bucket of cash that goes towards those items. And if there's not enough in the bucket, you don't buy those items. If you ever read or heard of the book, The Millionaire Next Door, I know just in the neighborhood I live, and I know some people who have a lot of overhead that's really crushing them. It's really enormously stressful for them. And they drive like the really sweet, like $80,000 or $90,000 truck, where the millionaires are driving the old beat up pickup truck. And that's from The Millionaire Next Door. It's the guy driving the older car with the smaller house who's not spending the dumb money. That's the guy with the $1 million and the peace of mind. And it's the one that's putting all the pressure on you to get a better car or get a bigger house or nicer clothes. They're putting all that pressure on you, yet they're suffering from the pressure of high overhead. Remember, low overhead, it's time, it's joy, it's peace. Now here's the mistake. I said we're going to also tell you how to avoid the common financial mistake that people made that stopped them from being wealthy, and that is the fact that you can't save your way to wealth. So many people agree with everything I've just said, that we've got to watch our overhead, but I also find a lot of people trying to save their way to being wealthy. So you want to spend wisely, but the reality is you don't want to be penny wise and dollar dumb. There's a lot of penny wise and dollar dumb people out there that are also broke, can't pay their bills because they're squeezing the pennies too tight. So for example, I mentioned in the gym industry, we were to double the amount of money we spent on advertising in January and February. Now that wasn't easy to do. You know, you're talking about 16% of your gross collections. So if you make $100,000 in gross collections, you were spending $16,000 on marketing. That's a lot of money to spend on marketing in 1 month, $32,000 for the 2 months. But the return, there was an ROI. We have a program that we do for marketing called the Practice Pilot, and people are getting 3 to 5, in some cases 10 and 20 times return. So those that don't want to spend the money on the marketing, they don't want to spend money on Facebook ads, or they don't want to spend money on a pay-per-click campaign, or don't want to put something out there in a mailer that works. If people don't want to do that, they're simply losing the money they could be making. They're trying to save their way to being wealthy, and you can't save your way to being wealthy. You've got to be able to know that you're investing to get real dollars coming in, a multiple of what you're investing. So we've got to spend money too. We spend wisely because a fool and their money are soon parted. And for many people, money does talk, but it's always saying bye-bye. So we've got to invest wisely, know that there's a conservative, safe return on the investment. And so we're here to help you do that. That's what the 0 to a Million Institute is all about. Hopefully you've gotten the book 0 to a Million in 1 year. We want to make sure you've got a budget. We want to make sure that you're out of debt, that you're saving, and you're investing in your future self. Important thing here is through managing the money that we're spending so that we have low overhead, but investing wisely, so we're also investing our way to wealth, that we again have great choices, we're free in the future. Bless you on your mission-based business, and remember who you are.